This is where we ended last time. This is our top frame. We're going to eventually duplicate this, or at least make a mirror of it. But before we do that, we're going to use these connections here. So I'm going to left click on front view. We're going to line up that top spar here and make sure that the holes that we create fit and match this. Let's go here. Let's go to sketch. Left click on the frame itself, on the top frame. Left click on this corner rectangle tool. We'll start here and we'll draw it out. And then we'll get it to scale here in just a second and make sure everything matches up. What I'm going to do is go ahead and draw these circles out again so we can use them as a reference. Left click dimension tool, and this is going to be 0.157 or 4 millimeters. And that's going to allow us to set the length from that to there, 0.157, and that should shorten that up. Same thing here, 0.157, and that should bring that one over there. Good. We're going to left click on the center point circle again. We're going to hover over this until we see that square that will center us up on the center point circle. I'm going to go just a little bit larger because it makes it easier for me to grab the edge. 0.157. Click that, and then we're going to use that again as our reference here. 0.157, that matches, and then 0.157, and I don't believe that's constrained, so it should bring it over. Look at the dimensions. It should be the same or close to the same dimensions. Yeah, 1.25 and then 0.75. Green check mark. Left click the edge to get to isometric view. Then we're going to left click on the extrude button, left click sketch 4. We're going to extrude that out. So we're going to go down here to depth, 1.25, and then green check mark. Good. Now let's go back to the top. Oh, one last thing. You notice it added it to the frame. We don't want that. So it should be solid, new. That'll make it its own part. And then we'll leave everything else we did there. Let's go left click. And instead of top frame, click on the connection we're making. Left click, corner rectangle tool, and don't worry about aligning it with the center of that plane. Let's just bring it down here. That's a little bit larger than we need. I know it's going to be 1/4 inch wide, 0.26. Now we don't want any play in this, so I may change that back. Green check mark. A little bit more than 1/4 inch. On this, 0.76. That. So we'll go down here, right to that, 0.24. And we'll see if that gives us a 0.25 there. Yeah, it does. All right, so we're good. Green check mark. So all I did was right click and grab on to the screen. I'm going to use the wheel to scroll away. Instead of using the navigation cube, I just used the right click to turn it, to get it into an isometric view. You can see there's the sketch that we created. We're going to left click extrude, left click remove, left click on this blue region here, and then go find our sketch. And then we want that to go, let's just make it 2 inches. It shouldn't interfere with anything because we're just saying merge part with part 2. And there we go. So now we've got one additional area here. So I'm going to click on the corner, left click on the corner, left click on right plane, I'm going to scroll in. So let's go left click sketch, left click on the part itself, left click here on center point circle, left click somewhere close to the center. Let's click the dimension tool, so left click there, left click the outer edge. Let's change that to 0.25 for our pin. And left click here on the center of that circle, left click here. We'll make that 0.625. It's going to give us half of that 1.25. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. Left click the center and then left click on this edge so we can center it up. 0.625. And the only reason I'm doing the second measurement is just to make sure I'm on track here. There we go. Yeah, making sure I have it an equal distance. Green check mark to close it out. Left click on the edge of the navigation cube. Wrong side. Let's go to this side so we can see what we're doing. Left click extrude. We want solid remove. So solid remove. The face we want to, or the sketch we want to extrude. Left click there. It's taken at a depth of 1 inch, and that is only 3/4 inches in width. So that'll penetrate that. And then green check mark. And then we should be good on our spars. Let's rename this. Rename. And we'll do top spar, even though we're going to have 3 others just like it. So we're going to left click on this and we're going to go copy here. And it's automatically going to give us the ability to move this around. So now we're going to drag this one down. We'll try to center it up the best we can here to where we're going to move it to. We'll move this over. And now we're going to have to do a transform on this to rotate it. We are transforming it by X, Y, and Z. Now we're going to left click on that. We're going to go up here to transform. And if you don't see it here, click on this little box and it should be in your list. Now we're going to go to rotate. We're going to click the axis to rotate it from. And we want to go 90 degrees. There we go, and we're close. So green check mark. Now we're going to go back to that first transform. And this is where it gets tricky to do this. That's why I was saying it's kind of hard to line these up perfectly because you can't see it at the same time. But that is really close. So I really need to come up a little bit on that transform. And let's see, a little bit more on that one. And so I'll just keep messing with this, and you'll see that the Z-axis changed when I moved it there. And you're going to see the X-axis changed here, and that was probably too much. Green check mark. Very close. We need to come up on Z. And that's a way to kind of manually move it. So I'm going to bring it up here with the numbers so I don't move it too much. And let's see now. All right, so now we need to come over in the X-axis. We'll go 4.9 and that should be there. So not as exact of just creating it right where it was at. And it probably took us just as much time to do that. Right, so let's see, we are looking at the right side here. So this is going to be, let's rename it. So I'll right click on part 3, left click on rename, and go right spar connection. Now let's left click on that. Come up here to mirror, this right plane, left click on mirror, left click on right plane, and that'll immediately mirror image. Now, we don't want to add it. We want it to be new, its own individual part. Green check mark. So that saves us from having to move it around like we did with transform. We can just mirror image by using the plane. We didn't have to rotate it. It's going to be aligned exactly where we want it. If you look here, you can see it lined up to those holes. All right, so that's mirror. So this is going to be right click on part 4, left click on rename. This is going to be our left spar connection. So I'm going to go back view. I'm going to left click sketch. I'm going to left click here on the frame, on the top frame itself. I'm going to select the corner rectangle tool. I'm going to click on this, trying to find the best location so I can drag it out. We're going to set our dimensions the same way we did last time. Now, we rounded these edges, so we may have to make a fillet for these to fit in, because I don't want those to overhang. And that's just one of the changes I made from the last frame. I didn't want any sharp edges, so we'll do the same thing here. And we'll just round those edges so that everything fits. Let's go ahead and left click on center point circle, highlight the center. Let's get these set as a reference. Let's do one at a time. Left click dimension tool, left click here. That's going to be the 0.157. Click here. Left click here. Repeat that process. So left click dimension tool, left click the diameter, 0.157 here. Left click the center of the circle and the edge of the part. And we're going to go 0.157. And then left click the center of this, come down here, that should be 0.157. Same thing here to that line, 0.157. And then up here to this line, 0.157. Yeah, we're good there. So I think what I'll do is, since we're already in sketch view, I'm going to go up here to sketch fillet tool. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on that line. And I'm going to set this so that it's close to that edge. All right, let's do 0.125. There, good. So I'm going to do that again. Sketch fillet. We're going to do this line and this one. 0.125. That looks like that fits, and it won't overhang outside of our frame, and it'll give it a nice rounded edge. And then we can left click here. So you see that's going to fit right into that edge. And I don't mind these being square. There's no need to round those off. That'll let us know when we insert it what side should go where. I can click right here on the dimension tool. That should be 0.175, click. And then this one now, it's rounded. So it's going to be a little off because it's only going from that line to that one. So don't let that throw you off if you see it, because it was the correct length because we set all these other parameters. That's just going to be our improvement to that part. So let's click on that. Let's go left click, extrude, left click on that sketch. And this needs to be right here in depth, 1.25. Now let's start from the top and make sure everything's right. Solid, not add, but we need new. It's going to be its own part. And then we've got the depth correct. 1.25. I hit a comma, so that's why I was throwing it off on the depth. Good. So I'm going to go to this other side. Left-click sketch, left-click on our part, left-click center point circle, hover somewhere close to the center. Left-click the dimension tool. We're going to set the diameter of this as 0.315, green check mark. Now we're going to set this. Oops, I did not mean to hit that. I'm going to hit escape. Left click on the dimension tool, left click here, come down and select the line. 0.625, green check mark. And I'm just going to verify that by going to this line here. Yeah. And then we're going to come up here to the line. Don't click on that circle. 0.325, 0.375. There we go. And then we should have the same thing here. Good. Green check mark. Now we're going to go extrude, left click extrude, left click on the sketch. We want solid remove. We need it to go at least 0.125 inches. So I'm just going to hit 2. You can see it extends it out 2 inches and click there. And then everything should line up. Good. So now we're going to mirror image that. But before we do, let's name this so we know where everything's at. If we have to come in and change one thing or experiment. So that's going to be our right, rename, right swing arm connection. Let's mirror image that. So left click on that, go up here to mirror. We've got to click on the plane, so I'm going to right click here and just rotate that to a better isometric view. Left click on that. On the right plane, we want it to be new, a whole new part, and you should see one appear on this other side. Green check mark. Right click and then left click rename. Left swing arm connection. So left click sketch, left click down here on the top frame. I'm going to go ahead and left click here on the back view so we can see what we're doing. Left click on our corner rectangle tool. I'm going to draw this out. I don't want it constrained. You see how it's trying to highlight to the edge? I don't want it to do that. I'm going to click on it here without it being linked to any other feature so that I can use these center point circles we're about to put down to reposition it. I'm going to use the wheel, mouse wheel, to scroll in. Left click on this, drag that out. Left click on the dimension tool, left click here and go 0.157. Now you'll notice that shrank down. I don't want that. So I'm going to unclick on the dimension tool and I'm going to click on the edge of this and draw it back out so we don't have any issues of it not wanting to scale. Left click on the center point circle, left click here on the center of that one, draw it out. Left click here on the dimension tool, let's set that at 0.157. We're eventually going to constrain this rectangle. So left click here on the center of our circle we just created, left click here, and I want that to be 0.157. It may move things, that's fine. And then I'm going to left click here and I'm going to set that one at 0.157. That's fine. I I want to left click on this, left click on that, and I want that to be 0.157. Now here's our change. Let's see. Shouldn't. Good, that's fine. Right there. So what this is going to change for us is the two holes that we run through here. We've got to make sure they're going to fit in the locations we have them. And now we're going to extrude that. So solid, new, faces to sketch. We're going to extrude that out. And that should be 1.25 inches. And we'll verify that in just a second. So let me green check mark, close that out, and that should give us our new leg connection that matches our frame there. I don't want that. We want it its own part. So let's go new. So solid, new. It extruded it out. Left click on the green check mark. There we go. Now it's its own part. Let's go ahead, even though we're not done with it yet. Oh, let's go bottom view. We're gonna left click here. Let's go left click sketch, left click on that part. Right now it's just part 7. Let's go up to our corner rectangle tool. I'm going to hold down on the mouse wheel and drag this down. Then we'll left click here, draw that out, and this should be 0.26. 0.75. Actually, let's go 0.76 here. And then let's set our dimensions. So let's do the same thing here. Let's set that at 0.25. And let's see how far off that is up here. 0.24. That's fine. And we may have clicked the other line. We're going to stick with that. I just want to see how far apart those are. That's 0.36. And then that is So let's green check mark that. And let's go 0.25 here. I'm just trying to center those up and see how far apart they are. Let's do 0.45 there. Yeah, so that gets us there. So that's our dimension there. By making this one 0.26, that's why those are not each a 1/4 inch. All right, so green check mark. We should be centered up. Let's go extrude. Left click on sketch 10. And your numbering system may not be exact. Should be if you're following along, but don't let that throw you off. Let's make that 2 inches of depth. So this should be solid, remove, 2 inches of depth for part 7 right now. Green check mark. All right, so that should go all the way through. Good. All right, so let's go left click sketch, left click on our part, left click center point circle. Let's get this close to center. I'm just going to do one at a time so they don't resize each other. 0.25. There we go. And we'll make another one. 0.25. There we go. So left click dimension, left click the center of that circle, left click the line, not the circle there. That way it'll stay there. So let's make that 0.5 and see where that goes. All right. And then let's left click on this line and the center of the circle. So I'm going to change that to 0.617. And then I'm going to verify that's the same over here. Close enough. All right, so I'm going to change this one. So you had to change the first one. Second one's locked, or you'll get a warning. change that to a 5 and see how close that gets us. Yeah, 0.625 on each one of these. So I'm going to set the dimension of that. It's already set. So it's left click dimension tool, left click here, left click there, and we'll change that one to 0.625. I'm going to move that up so it's easier to read. So I'll close out the dimension tool. I'm going to come up here. Let's go left click on our dimension tool. Left click the center of this circle, left click the center of that circle, and let's make those 0.75. Let's see where that takes that one. That's pretty far up there. Delete this one. I'm going to delete this. Let's go up here and change this. So I deleted some of the measurements. I'm going to left click here. And I want this to be 1/4 of an inch as opposed to a half, 0.25. There we go. And let's see how far apart this one is. Around. I'm going to set that one at 0.5 and see where that takes us. Yeah, I'd rather have that, and then let's just see what the distance is here now. So almost an inch, almost 3/4 of an inch. Let's leave that there. Let's close that out. Let's go extrude, sketch 11, so it should be solid remove. Let's do 2 inches there to make sure it goes all the way through. Left click on the green check mark, and then that should be good. What I'm looking at here is to make sure this M4 hole doesn't go through there. So we've got enough distance from those. Let's rename it. And I think that's going to be the right leg connection. Right click, rename, right leg connection. And then we're going to mirror image that to make another one on the other side. And that should be all of our connections for right now. So let's left click here in the parts list. It's highlighted. Let's go up, mirror image, left click on our navigation cube, or right click and hold down. Left click on this mirror plane, left click on the right mirror. We want this to be new, so it should be new, creates a new part. Left click on the check mark. Let's go down. Now you see we have part 8. Let's go rename and go left leg connection. Left click on the top frame, right click and go copy here. So creating a new part from that. Right click or left click on top view, and we're going to move this back. Notice that the y-axis, you see it changing. We're going to change that to, we're going to zoom in here. I'm just going to do it manually at first, so that looks like that's going to be 135. And it's okay if it touches, but I don't want it to touch that much. Let's go back to our transform 3, and let's change that to a 7.5. Let's see what that did. All right, right there. That should be pretty good. I want them to slightly touch. Let's change that to a 3. Yeah. So let's go to a 4 here. And the reason that's important is when we go to small scale assembly, I want all of these to touch a little bit so they can merge into one part. We don't need that now, but later on we're going to merge all of these into a top frame only for small scale. We need these to be separate now. When we're going to copy this. This will become important later on why I'm just copying and moving that out. So I'm going to go back to my front view. Let's move this over. Let's just move it over 12 inches. All right, green check mark. And we're going to rename this split spar connection for CNC. Now I could have done this early on, but we would have ended up with way more parts because all of them would have had to been split. And it will create more steps for us later on. So we're going to do this for each one of these. So we only have to split each one. So now let's go back up. There's our right swing arm. Let's go copy here. Let's move it 12 inches. Oops, wrong way. Go back to 0. Let's move it 12 inches on the x-axis. There we go. Actually, I don't. I'm just going to keep these parallel to each other. Where is that one going to be even with that one? Instead of typing those in, I just want it roughly even with that one. Let's go 6 inches out. All right, good. Now we'll close that out. Now let's find our leg connection. So our right leg connection, copy here. Let's go 12. Let's just see if that takes it. No, that's still too far. I'm just going to manually do it. Let's look at our front view. I just want to keep those even. Now we're going to split these. I'm going to rename this one. Rename. Split swing arm connection for CNC. Rename. Split leg connection CNC. All right, there's those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to go down and just turn these on so we're not distracted. And then we're going to split these. And they should all align. So I'm going to go left click sketch. I'm going to left click here on that split part. Left click here, and I want those to line up. You can see we've got that dashed line. We're going to split all of these. I'm going to keep it straight up and down. Left click, hit escape. I'm going to go over here to isometric view. I'm going to change that. We're going to go over to extrude. Left click on sketch 12. We want a surface instead of solid. It's asking us to select the sketch again, so we did. We're going to change direction right here where it says blind. Change that direction, but let's do 2 inches. There we go. And we'll do symmetric to make sure it goes through all parts evenly. Yeah, looks like it's going through all of them. Green check mark, close. Now go up to where you see transform. Hit the drop down list, hit split. We're going to select our parts to split all 3. And then what do we want to split it with? That's this surface here. And then green check mark. There we go. And what that should have done is given us additional parts here of the duplicates. And we could rename those 1 and 2 if we wanted to. 1. Rename. Just so when we export them, we know that which one's different. All right, there we go. And then we can turn all of this back on. And then if those are in our way, we can always turn those off for now. And that'll make it easy to find when we get ready to export those. And put those spacers in. So left click sketch, left click on this back frame, left click center point circle. So left click center point circle, hover over the center until we get the square, drag that out. Actually, let's drag this out just a little bit larger. Let's make another one. Let's set those at 0.25. No, that is, that should be 3.15. So we're looking for an M10 or M8. This should be set at an M8 bolt. So since we're in inches, 0.315. Click on the outer part. Let's go 1 inch for that spacer. Let's go over here. We'll just do all of them at one time. We're just going to repeat that process. Click here, 0.315, green check mark. 1 inch, green check mark. Left click on the square. Left click on the dimension tool. Green check mark. 1 inch. Scroll over, left click center point circle. Hover over that square. And let's set those at 0.315. Set this one at 1 inch. Green check mark. Up here on the sketch, let's go to isometric view. So left click on the outer cube. Let's go extrude. Sketch 77, this should be solid new, not add. Green check mark.